All right, my friends, welcome. So you have just finished including your quotations in your essay planner. But now you need to do the hardest part of the essay, which is explain or analyze or unpack your evidence. Your quotation is your evidence. Your evidence supports your claim, your thesis statement. But now you have to explain it. Now you have to connect the dots for the reader. And this is really the hardest part. One way to make this a little bit easier for you is to use what's called the so what strategy. The so what strategy makes you think like a reader. It makes you stop and say, okay, so what? What do I do with this evidence? What does my reader need to understand in order to support my argument? So let's look at some examples of what this looks like. Now, in your planner, this is what your planner looks like. You've already written your thesis statement and introductory paragraph. You've already written your topic sentence, and you've already picked a quotation. But now, this is where you have to explain it. How does this quotation support my thesis statement? And this is where the so what strategy comes in. So for example, this could be a thesis statement for an essay. And this could be a thesis statement for an essay about style. A literary analysis essay about style. Because as you can see from the thesis, we've got a text, and we've got a style device, and we've got an effect. In The Office, the writers use verbal irony in order to develop the character Dwight. Text, style device, effect, characterization. So then this is the first piece of evidence to support this thesis statement. Jim convinces Dwight he is turning into a vampire after being bitten by a bat at work by using verbal irony. This is the evidence. This is basically a fact from the show. This happened. But then the question is, so what? How does that develop the character of Dwight? Oftentimes what ends up happening is we include evidence as writers and we assume that the reader can connect the dots for themselves, that the reader can read this evidence and jump to the same conclusions that we jumped to in our understanding of the character of Dwight. But they can't. The reader cannot read your mind. You have to connect the dots for them. And this dot connection takes up a lot of space. The analysis or the explanation answers that question. So what? How does this develop the character of Dwight? The fact that Dwight actually believed that Jim was turning into a vampire shows his gullibility. This is the characterization piece. Dwight fancies himself a hero, so it is logical to him for Jim to turn into a vampire. This transformation would allow him to save everyone in the office. His arrogant nature often prevents him from detecting sarcasm, especially when he wants to believe something, no matter how preposterous. So we get the gullibility, we get the understanding of his arrogance, and then we unpack how this verbal irony, this sarcasm, builds Dwight's character. So let's look at some more examples, and I want you to think of your explanation. Thesis statement. TikTok has better content than Snapchat. So that's the main claim. That's the argument. Then this is the evidence. The focus of TikTok is music. That's a fact, right? Like TikTok is focused on music. But then the question is, okay, so how does that prove that TikTok has better content than Snapchat? So what? So I want you to think, how does this evidence support this claim that TikTok has better content than Snapchat? Connect the dots. Okay, well, both of these are social media apps. The purpose of social media is to connect with other people. TikTok's focus is on music. Music has always connected people. Snapchat's focus is on content creation, personal content creation, which can be hard to connect with others if you don't have the same experiences. Therefore, since people connect to music, and TikTok is focused on music, a social media app that is focused on music would better connect people than a social media app that is focused on nothing. So as you can see, the analysis question asks, so what? How does this prove this? Let's try it again. Thesis: Tupac is the greatest rapper of all time. That's the claim. That's the argument, right? That's an opinion. They're arguing for it. Here's the evidence. What he brought to hip-hop was a level of rawness and poetic drive in the way he delivered his words. So his word delivery. So now I want you to think, how does this support this claim? So what? Who cares about rawness and poetic drive and word delivery? How does that make him the greatest? Think. So then you would have to connect to humans. In hip-hop, most people connect to the rawness and poetry and the delivery of the words. Tupac changed the experience of listening to hip-hop by bringing out more of that than anyone had before, and he did it better than anyone else. Now, you'd probably need to support this with some evidence from outside sources, but what you have to do is connect this to your claim. How does that make him the GOAT? Next one. Thesis: the use of discussion boards in a virtual setting enhances learning. Evidence: students are able to share their ideas and knowledge with other students. So then the question is, so what? Why is it good? First, why would this enhance learning? Think. And then explain. When students create their own understanding through their written work, they are more likely to retain the information that they are learning. There is also evidence that supports that social experiences can help people retain information more too. So both the process of sharing and the social experience can help students learn more, therefore enhancing learning. You have to take the next step. You have to connect the dots for the reader. Why is it that this enhances learning? Why is it that sharing knowledge and the social piece enhances learning? You have to connect the dots for the reader and unpack it. How, why, so what, who cares, explain. So what you're going to do right now, you are going to apply this to your planner. So you already have your thesis statement, you already have your background information, your thesis statement, your topic sentence, your evidence. Now what you have to do is explain, analyze, how does this metaphor build the theme? How does this dialogue build the characterization? So what? This explanation takes a while to develop. The metaphor of the, be nice if I was typing. The metaphor of the sugar cane develops the theme of, and then I explain my theme through, and then we use some transition words. And then you can also consider writing sentences like, if the author had not included this metaphor, or if the character had not said that thing, whatever it was, then you can explain that direction as well. The key thing is that you are connecting the dots for the reader. How does this style device build this deeper meaning? Maybe it's characterization, maybe it's tone, maybe it's a mood. If you're talking about tone, you've got to talk about the reader. Tone or mood. The reader can feel the, or through the use of the word blank, whatever the word is there, the reader gets a sense that, you can talk about the reader, especially if you're talking about tone or mood. But the most important thing is that you fully unpack how this metaphor or how this style device builds the deeper meaning. Connect the dots for the reader. It will feel forced. It will feel like you are creating you are creating something out of thin air, something out of nothing. You are making a meaning of the text because that's exactly what you're doing. You are creating the meaning of the text. So go forth, explain your quotations, put it in your planner. Ready, go.